Comey has been indicted. Who is the next person on your list in this retribution?
It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt. There'll be others. Look, that's my opinion. They weaponized the Justice Department like nobody in history. What they've done is terrible. And so I hope there are others.
Well, he actually, before too modest, Jonathan Lemire, he actually ordered Pam Bondi, his attorney general, to arrest a series of people.
Yeah, he
said they're guilty as hell.
A direct message to Pam Bondi that he inadvertently posted. He's hurry up, they're guilty as hell. He named 3 people. James Comey, who has been indicted. Letitia James, who's been indicted. Senator Adam Schiff would stand to be next.
Yeah, and by the way, this isn't really about the Justice Department. This is about people who went after him.
He also mentioned the governor of Illinois.
Yeah, and then add to that a number of people he said publicly that he said should be arrested for various or unspecified charges. But what's so striking about this is a direct order to the Attorney General of the United States.
Right.
And she, by finding replacement prosecutors, found a way to do it. This is the retribution he promised. It's here.
You know, we figured out it wasn't planned this way, but we're going to bring in Bob Woodward in a minute. But we have Michael Schmidt with New York Times, and I just said to Michael, this like an all-star cast of people have been sued by the president. You and the New York Times got sued by the president. Bob Woodward got sued by the president. Those cases both dismissed. And I'm just thinking, as we talk about the president ordering his AG to arrest people, I'm wondering whether the judges that are going to be handling those cases won't handle those cases much like the judge that handled the New York Times case, which actually did something really remarkable, as we were talking about, dismissed the case without even a motion to dismiss because it was such a spurious claim.
Yeah, in our case, he sued the Times for $15 billion, myself and 3 of my colleagues, over different stories that we had wrote, my story being the interview I had done with John Kelly before the election, in which Kelly provided a series of warnings about what Trump would do if he came back into power. Right. And the remarkable thing is that we had, prepared to fight it, and the judge just got rid of it. Now, Trump does have 28 days to go back and refile it, and it's a never-ending attempt by Trump to come after us, but it's just an example of this audacious use of the law to try and go after those people he doesn't like, to try and chill reporting, to try to scare us, to try and make us spend time and money to deal with that. And it's just going to be part of what we do over the next several years. It's a sort of I don't want to call it an occupational hazard because I think that diminishes it. Right. But I think it's something that is going to be front and center that we're going to have to confront time and time again. Yeah.
Let's now bring in Bob Woodward, of course, a legendary reporter from the Washington Post, who's here to talk about his paperback version of the 2024 book, War, also about news of the day. I mean, Bob, there's so much here that we're juggling this morning. You're in a unique vantage point. I remember seeing you at Trump Tower during the transition period in 2016 before the first term. You've spent a good bit of time with the president. You've recorded the president. I'm curious, we're balancing a lot of things right now, a possible breakthrough in Middle East peace, the prosecution of course, his political opponents and his opponents in the media. Balance it all for us. Talk about how your book weaves into the Donald Trump that we're seeing right now.
Well, I think the theme really is if you have power, use it, and also abuse it. And literally, I mean, it really is a breakthrough, a corrupt breakthrough, to have the President of the United States ordering up criminal charges against people who are opponents, and that's exactly what's happened.
You changed journalism with your Watergate reporting. Compare what's going on now. I know you've been asked this question a good bit, but the facts have changed on the ground over the past 2 weeks. Compare what happened during Watergate, during Nixon's abuses, with the President of the United States telling the Attorney General, I want you to arrest these 3 people. They're guilty as hell.
Well, it's worse now, and of course, after 2 years of Watergate, Nixon resigned. We are now at a deadlock period, and it's even worse than that. I mean, I think we have really reached the point where Trump has destabilized the government so it can't function normally, and in this period of destabilization, everyone is going to, as I say, use the power they have and also stick to their talking points. If they can stick to their talking points, they satisfy the base.
Yeah, you know, your colleague, Maggie Haberman, at one point was asked, why does Trump do the things Trump does? And her answer, very simple, but goes to what Bob had said there. She said, because he can. He will do what he can do. It's that simple. If the Republican Party's not checking him in the House, he will do what he can do. He will do what he can do if the Senate Republicans aren't doing their job. If the Supreme Court is sitting back like they're doing right now and allowing him to clear everything in emergency, he will do what he can do. He will push the boundaries. He will abuse the boundaries if the Supreme Court actually won't do their job.
Yes, but the thing that I find most interesting is that in the first term, he wasn't able to do that, because there were those containers there. There were those people who were trying to stop him from hurting himself, from attacking the rule of law, and from pushing the country further into chaos.
So what changed?
They're not there anymore.
Why?
Because he didn't want them there.
Right.
They didn't want the John Kellys coming back.
And why didn't he want, I'm getting to a point here, and why didn't he want them there?
Because they were successful in stopping him. And
he also, the way he looks at it, and he hasn't told me this, but he lost the election. He was sitting at a defense table last summer, and if he had lost that case, he could have been in jail for the rest of his life. If he lost the election, he could have been in jail for the rest of his life. I mean, I think sometimes we forget this is what drives him so much. He had those people saying, "Oh, you must do this. You must play by the rules," which he must. But all he does is sees that as a sign of weakness that almost got him sent to jail for life.
Correct. And he basically won his freedom. He won his freedom in winning the election. But as a reporter who covered the containers, those people trying to stop him, in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, could this really be true? Could these people really be holding him back? And what we have seen now is that indeed, the counterfactual, when they're not there, he is different. The things they're doing, the second term is much different than the first term. And one of the reasons is because those people are no longer there.
Well, and as I will argue, as I have argued, it's to his own political detriment. Again, his numbers slipping in the areas where they should be the strongest.
Right.
Immigration support skyrocketing to record levels, levels that Gallup has never even seen before.
Yeah, immigration, he's underwater. The economy, he's underwater. One assumes when polls go out about this, using the Department of Justice as a mechanism for revenge, that won't be popular with the American people either. I wrote this week about how retribution is here. And Bob Woodward, to Joe's point, yes, President Trump does now privately admit the trial last summer was a political gift. It allowed him to be on, at the defense table, rallied his side, rallied Republicans to support him. But he was also terrified. He was afraid of what the outcome could be. And combining what we just talked about with Michael, he is taking such extreme steps right now to wield his power and also to stay in power. And that includes the midterms, because so much of this is important about how Republicans right now have the House and the Senate. And we're seeing such extreme actions from the National Guard to redistricting. Trump trying to ensure Republicans can stay in power so he doesn't face investigations again.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, Trump has become, if you see this sending federal officers into cities where there's no necessity, Trump has really become kind of the cop in chief. I mean, people like that, people who are authoritarian leaders, lean on the police force. And now he's using it specifically for occasions where he feels thwarted. And of course, being thwarted, we're in this period that is truly crazy. Just look at take the Internal Revenue Service. We have had this year, how many people in charge of the Internal Revenue Service? 7. The person who has the job now is also the Social Security Administrator. Trump will find people who will do his bidding and anticipate what he might do. So Trump has got this total control, and the total control, I agree, eventually is going to bury his presidency, because people, even Trump supporters, look at this and say, whose interest is this in? For what purpose? For the purpose of Donald Trump holding power and exercising power, and that is a calamitous time for this country.
Really glad you brought up the midterms. Associate editor at the Washington Post, Bob Woodward, thank you very much. His best-selling book, War, is out now in paperback.